So guys, we need to talk about Penguin Episode 8, the finale. And just to let you know, before we go any further, there's going to be spoilers here for Episode 8, the finale of Penguin. So you've been warned. At the end, when we have the scene of Vic and Penguin sitting outside near the water side, and they're talking, having a drink, and Vic turns to Penguin and says,
"You're like... You're family to me. You know?
I now see you as my family." And Penguin turns to Vic, chokes him out, basically kills him, and leaves his corpse on the floor. It was a shocking twist. A lot of us, predicted that Vic wouldn't make it to the end of the show, but for Penguin to choke him out and kill him after Vic had been so loyal to Penguin throughout the entire show, absolutely heartbreaking, absolutely devastating. And it just goes to show how evil and vile the Penguin character actually is. We see moments of humanity in the Penguin, and we kind of feel bad for him at some points when it's to do with his mother, and we see the human side of Penguin, but ultimately he's an evil and vile guy, and he'll kill anyone who gets in the way of him and his struggle for power. So yeah, this guy is just really, really something else. But anyway, let's jump into this article. Let's break down the events of Season 8 and see how they're going to lead into the Batman Part 2 and how they're going to be setting up future events as we progress the epic crime saga, like I say, into Batman Part 2. So, like I said, this comes to us from comicbookmovie.com. Here's how the Penguin finale sets up the Batman Part 2 and whether the Dark Knight shows up. So a lot of us, we know, because Matt Reeves came out in an interview and he said the Dark Knight Batman isn't going to be showing up in this this Penguin show. So we fully didn't expect Robert Pattinson's Batman to show up. So, the season finale of The Penguin hit HBO yesterday. Obviously, this was a few days ago now. And it was nothing short of devastating. Devastating is the correct word there. It was really, really hard hitting. One of the best things, if not the best thing, DC has ever produced when it comes to a TV show. Despite the shocking final fate of some characters, the series delivered a satisfying conclusion. I'm not sure satisfying is the right word to go. At the end, when he's dancing with his girlfriend and he's pretending it's his mother, and she's dressed as his mother in the dress, telling him that he's been a good boy, that she's proud of him, pretending to be his mother, and he's kind of in this sadistic fantasy world where his girlfriend is now his mother, and it's so messed up. Like, what was going on? To this story, with Cobb now Gotham City's new kingpin of crime. Remember as well, he got all his henchmen to take out all the other crime lords in Gotham. All the other gangs and the major heads of each gang were kind of systematically kind of taken out and slaughtered. So there's nobody else kind of there to challenge Kingpin's authority. There's no one there to challenge Penguin's authority now, and he's like the true kingpin of Gotham now. So his evolution is one we expect to see continue in the Batman Part 2 as filmmaker Matt Reeves. The Batman epic crime saga unfurls. We break down all of the biggest moments in a great or little thing here, but it's now time to explore exactly how the finale lays the groundwork for the long-awaited sequel. So, like I said, we're going to get into some of the most kind of standout events within Episode 8, the finale, and talk about how they could potentially lead going forward into the Batman Part 2. So, obviously, this was one of the biggest things that happened, Selina Kyle's letter. With Sofia Gigante, obviously back in Arkham, she was arrested, and the doctor comes in, hands her a letter, and it's from Selina Kyle. So a potential team-up between Sofia Gigante and Selina Kyle in the Batman Part 2, those two half-sisters wrecking carnage together. That could be something really fun, something really explosive, and all kinds of chaos could ensue. So let's have a read here. So, outsmarted by Oz and returned to Arkham, where her involvement with the Crown Point disaster, obviously she exploded the car bomb, and then basically devastated an entire city block. Revealed, also courtesy of Oz, things look bleak for Sofia Gigante as the finale comes to an end. So, however, Dr. Julian Rush, who I do believe is conjured up in her memory. I believe that some of the scenes where she's talking to Dr. Julian Rush, Sofia Gigante, I believe that he's imaginary and he's actually inside her mind, and she's kind of projecting him and kind of imagining him. That's what I think anyway, and a lot of people have that theory as well. So Dr. Julian Rush offers up some hope when he brings a letter from a woman claiming to be her half-sister, Selina Kyle. The Batman concluded with Catwoman leaving Gotham, but this might just be enough to bring her back home and give Sofia a role in the Batman Part 2. I would be very, very surprised, and I think a lot of fans out there, if Sofia Gigante was nowhere to be seen in the Batman Part 2. If she's not the main villain or one of the main villains, she would at least have to be a kind of peripheral villain, kind of at least have a cameo appearance to some degree in the Batman Part 2. She's such a major character now within this universe, and a lot of people will be very, very surprised if she doesn't pop up to some degree in the Batman Part 2. So, Kristen Milioti went on to say the following. I mean, it's my wildest hope that I get to revisit her, because I've loved this role so immensely. I think if Sophia and... let me say that again. I think if Sophia and Selina Kyle were united, we would really tear shit up. Yeah, I think that would be absolutely chaotic, and it would be so fun. I don't know how to say it. We would just, like, burn it down. You know what I mean? In a fun way, I think we'd have a lot of fun. We don't expect to see Selina break her sister out of Arkham, but this leaves the door open to the daughters of Carmine Falcone eventually doing something to help bring down the Penguin. Yeah, I mean, just those two actresses alone on screen kind of just causing chaos, and it kind of the mind boggles with what they could be doing, the plans that they could come up with to potentially take down the Penguin. I think it would be so fun, but I think that would potentially happen in season 2 of the Penguin. I don't think that would happen in a Batman movie, because there's so much content there to explore with those two sisters and Penguin that obviously it would take away from the Batman storyline. So I think the Batman Part 2 is going to focus on the actual Batman, and then I think in Penguin Season 2 we'll potentially have the team up between the two half-sisters taking down the Penguin. So I think they would save that for Penguin Season 2. But you never know. So, moving on to this, Oz Cob wins. Yeah, so this was the sad scene here with the two of them talking, where Vic turns to him and calls him family, only for Penguin to turn around and basically kill him, which was absolutely devastating. So, having finally dealt with Sophia, Oz convinces his fellow lackeys to murder their bosses and take control of Gotham City alongside him. Like I said, he gets his henchmen to take out the crime bosses, basically, of each faction throughout Gotham. However, he also manages to find some legitimacy after forging an alliance with Councilman Haiti. The politician warns Oz that the mayor-elect Bella Real is cracking down on corruption and that he needs to make himself appear clean. This suggests that heading into the Batman Part 2, he will have created the facade of an honest businessman who can no longer be bullied or threatened by a vigilante like Batman or even Lieutenant Jim Gordon. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So he's going to portray himself as an honest businessman who's doing legitimate business. The Batman would have no way to take him down through, the way that Batman takes people down, he uses his fist, he uses his strength and stuff like that. So if the Penguin is portraying himself as an honest businessman but doing crooked stuff in the background, Batman would have to investigate, he would have to go into his kind of detective mode, kind of find the cracks in the armor of what Penguin is doing, and then ultimately try and take him down, through illegal means if possible. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how Batman would approach Oz Cobb, from a legal businessman perspective. So, talking to the Hollywood Reporter, Colin Farrell said Oz's personality was forming and changing in the limited series, and by the end of the 8 episodes, it's concretized into something else. There is a degree of almost delusion, psychopathy present in the last scene. Yeah, like I said, psychopathy in the present in the last scene. Like I said, when he's dancing with his girlfriend, who's dressed up in his mother's clothes, and he's pretending that his girlfriend or the girl that he used to date is now his mother. Tell me I'm a good boy. Tell me that you're proud of me. And pretending that his girlfriend is his mother is so damn messed up. And I was literally watching it what the hell is going on right now? So how this is taken up in the second film? I was told I would have 5 or 6 scenes. So it looks like Colin Farrell is going to have 5 or 6 scenes in the Batman Part 2. When it says 5 or 6 scenes, that doesn't really tell us much, because a scene can be 10 minutes long. A scene can be 30 seconds long. I mean, we don't know how long these scenes are going to be. We don't know how involved they're going to be, how important, how minor, how major. So we don't know how these scenes are going to fit in, how long they are, how, prevalent throughout the movie they are. So we just don't know. It doesn't really tell us a whole lot. This points to him not having an extended role in the Batman Part 2. I don't think that's true. Like I said, he could be in 5 or 6 scenes, but they could be really long scenes. So we just don't know. And like the first film, that means he'll be on the periphery instead. Farrell has confirmed he's signed up for a 3rd movie, though, so maybe the chapter's big bad. Obviously, we move on to this next, the bat symbol. So far, we've covered, obviously, Selina Kyle's letter, and we've covered the fact that Oz Cobb wins and takes down the other crime lords in Gotham. And now we're moving on to the bat signal. At the end, when he was dancing with his girlfriend who was pretending to be his mother. And when it started to zoom out from the building and show Gotham in the background, I was literally sat like, it's going to show the bat signal, it's going to show the bat signal, it's going to show the bat. And then when it showed it, I almost lost my damn mind. I was like, yeah! Like, I was thinking, like, it's the last episode, it's the finale of Penguin. They have to show a reference, a link, some sort of connective tissue to the Batman somewhere. There has to be a bat signal, a picture, you know, a video on a TV somewhere. There has to be something that connects it to the Batman. And they just flashed up. It's literally a second long. It zooms out. It shows Gotham City in the background. And then literally for 1 second, flashed a bat symbol. That was it. And, like, I just lost my damn mind. Like, it was just such a powerful piece of imagery. Oz finally has the power he always craved, but his mother is in a vegetative state, and he's paying a prostitute, Eve, to dress as Francis and tell him how proud she is of him and his rise to power. Oh, and he killed one of his most trusted allies when he strangled poor Vic to death in cold blood. Yeah, again, just two crazy things. He's dancing with a prostitute or his girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, who's pretending to be his mother, and he killed his most devoted kind of follower. Even when Oz wins, he loses, and a hint at what's to come plays out when the camera pans outside to reveal the bat signal has been lit. That doesn't mean Jim Gordon is calling on the Caped Crusader to help deal with the Penguin, of course, and instead suggests there is another major threat requiring the Vigilante's help. So, quote, I would have hated the show to finish and end up with the final credits and Batman not be addressed at all. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. If Batman wasn't addressed at all, no Easter eggs, no image, no picture, no poster, no kind of connective tissue to the Batman, it would have felt kind of like the show would have still been great and it wouldn't have deducted from the show whatsoever. But as a fan, knowing that this takes place in Gotham in the Batman universe and not having that connective tissue, it would have felt like a little bit kind of something is missing. It wouldn't have detracted from the show, and the show still would have been just as great as it was. But we were fully expecting that connective tissue to be there, and with the bat signal, it was just there. Only for a second, but, you know, it did what it needed to. So Farrell admitted when he caught up with the Collider, and it's right down to the wire, but when the signal came up, I mean, it's so iconic, it's so exciting for me, and the inner kid that lives inside this 48-year-old body, I just thought, oh shit, there's a reckoning coming, there's another storm coming. Yeah, it's just what that symbol represents. A quick flash of the bat signal. We all know from watching the Batman, the first Robert Pattinson Batman, we know exactly what that signal means. It's a warning. That's what he says at the beginning of the Batman. It's not just a symbol, it's a warning. And yeah, it just strikes fear in the heart of everybody who sees it in Gotham. So the Dark Knight's absence throughout the Penguin was undeniably distracting, but at least we know the stage is being set for Batman to make sure Oz pays for his crimes eventually. That's all the comments all over social media. We can't wait for the Batman 2 to hold Penguin to account for everything that he's done, for taking Vic's life. We want to see the Batman beat the crap out of the Penguin. So, moving on to this, where is the Batman anyway? So, I addressed this in a video, quite a while ago now, asking where the Batman is. There are likely any number of reasons for Robert Pattinson's absence from the Penguin. The actor may not have wanted to appear in a TV series or HBO Max, might have been unwilling to pay the actor what he required to make the leap to the small screen. I think it's the fact that they want to use Batman sparingly. Batman is the biggest character in the DC's crown jewel when it comes to their DC content, and using Batman only on the big screen absolutely makes sense. Don't dilute the character by having him in a TV show. Keep him for the big screen where the Batman belongs. For what it's worth, the show's creative have insisted it was never the plan for Batman to show up. With so much going on in Gotham City during the story, including the destruction of Crown Point, the Batman Part 2 will need to explain the Vigilante's absence. I think they will touch on it ever so slightly. The opening sort of scene of the Batman, I think, will kind of show where the Batman was or what he was doing during the events of Penguin. I think it will touch on it in a minor way. I don't think it will fully go into it. So Farrell has some thoughts on that, telling Collider, Batman himself, the way I remember it at the end of the film, he's having a moment of existential shift in regards to what he feels his purpose is and how he's going to go forth, and a dispirited sense of right in a city that needs an extraordinary amount of help to fix the moral wrongs of what is constantly at play. It's a good explanation as any. We're sure Batman and Gordon will also deliver some exposition for moviegoers by reflecting on the fall of Falcone and Oz's rise through the ranks, particularly as they have shared history with the villain. And that's kind of where we are. So that's the three major things that we were kind of talking about there. Or four, I should say. So Selina Kyle's letter, to Sophia Gigante while she's in Arkham. Cobb obviously wins, takes out all the other crime lords, and also takes out Vic as well, which is kind of a shame. The bat signal flashes up, giving us that solid piece of connective tissue that we needed from the Penguin to the Batman. It doesn't overdo it, doesn't overinflate it, doesn't overshadow the Penguin, but it flashes up the symbol, and we all know what the symbol represents. It represents the Batman and what he's gonna, the Batman and what the Batman is, and it just sent chills down our spines, and just that piece of iconography there, one of the most recognized symbols in the world. And then we move on to this, Where is the Batman Anyway? Talking about how potentially going into the Batman Part 2, maybe one of the opening scenes, or maybe within the movie, there could be a potential small flashback showing us like a training montage or something where the Batman is off in another part of the world or another part of the city, potentially taking care of something, while Oz's rise through the ranks is kind of happening. So that will fully explain where the Batman was during the events of the Penguin, which I think a lot of fans want answered, to be honest. So that's kind of where we are there, guys. What do you take away from this? What do you take away from those 4 main points? And, what did you think of episode 8? About him taking out Vic, about him dancing with a prostitute or his girlfriend, pretending it was his mother, and Sophia's back in Arkham, and Selina Kyle contacting Sophia. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff that's going to be thrusting into the Batman Part 2. How much they're going to pick up on from this show and put into the Batman Part 2, we really don't know at this point. They might save a lot of these storylines for the Penguin Season 2. So we'll have to wait and see how that all shakes out. But guys, jump into the comment section. Let me know on all of this information that we've covered here. What stands out to you the most? What are you hoping to see, go forward into the Batman Part 2? Is there any things that you hope they address or points that you want them to pick up on from the Penguin going into the Batman Part 2? Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in the next one.